Alright, it's time for Messy Kitchen Construction Frenzy. Courtesy of the good folks at Hotwire Foam Factory for sending me the tools to try out. So I'm going to make a tombstone here. I'm going to try to use their stuff when and wherever possible, excluding the use of all other heat-based cutting and shaping tools, with the notable exceptions of stuff I just can't get around, because their tools are nice, but their tools are not a propane torch. So, there we go. The majority of this will probably be done in fast motion because I have already shown you guys how to make tombstones in my well, not my fast motion, but my regular tutorial. And, yeah, this will be my first time working with the green stuff, though, so I'm kind of looking forward to see how this goes. That being said, I'm going to get going. If I encounter anything new that I didn't mention in my normal tombstone tutorial, I'll be sure to let you know. But otherwise, sit back, relax, and for God's sakes, get something to munch on. Turn on some music. This might be kind of dull. Sorry. Wait, that won't be dull. I'm using cool new tools. It's gonna be awesome. I gotta say, I really like the control on this thing. This is easier to control than the hot wire cutter. The only thing I wish I had was the variable power supply, just because I'd like to get this thing a little bit hotter. But other than that, the control is superior. Maybe it's actually the slower speed that's getting me to better control. I actually have to slow it down and make a very fine cut. I don't know. You know, the intrinsic Halloweener might be able to find a use for these fine spindly strands that I'm getting here. Let's make some good kelpie hair or something. Just tried some experimentation to see if I could find a way to get these grooves in here any faster. I was able to melt the outside edges very rapidly with the hot knife, but it's still a little bit difficult to find a way to get the inner channels with any kind of rapidity with heat. So I'm actually going to kind of fast forward this on to grab the Dremel and get these central beams in here with that, and there's absolutely no need to include that in a section that's supposed to be highlighting these tools with Dremel stuff. So I'll catch you on the flip side when we get this thing together. Hello, hello, we are back. I've got the Tombstone all set and good. Obviously I've got it glued together on the inside. The only thing that I did was I used a brand new method, if you want to call it that, of making the inner depressions. I just took the blowtorch and gave it one huge heat scalding, and it made a wonderful V-shaped depression, so I didn't have to carve things out with the Dremel. The side effect of that was it unleashed an absolute toxic fume into my entire apartment, and I decided that while I had the fans on for an hour or three, I may as well just keep my respirator on the entire time, because there was no way I was going to be breathing that stuff unfiltered when the whole apartment was full of it. Lesson learned. I'm going to make myself another hot tool specifically just to take those runnels out for my PVC centerpieces. And so we're back in the Hot Wire Foam Factory Expo Tombstone. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the knife to make some pieces to fill these enormous gaps in there, because I don't want those that chunky. So we will use our creation. We will use the cutter to make some pieces. If any moths start flying in here, it's entirely because I have the door open and a fan going out to keep everything ventilated, because you never use foam cutting tools without proper ventilation. I was expecting a rainbow or something to appear behind me, but it didn't happen, so. La-di-da. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this to shape the pieces a little bit more to fit into the gaps that were left after that experimental blast of runnel cutting. Again, for the most part it worked, but it just made way too much in the way of toxic fumes. And I have no intention of keeping everything all sorts of toxic. Alright, one trick with the knife. If your piece is small, cut down near the edge where it's already closer to the tool. Seems to be a little bit hotter there, obviously, because that's where the heat source is coming from. You want a slightly faster cut and have it be a little bit more stable as well. So all I've done is taken a few little scraps and stuff them amidst the gaps to make the bottom require less sealing. I'll finish it up with a little bit of hot glue. Now while that hot glue is cooling, in order to properly show off these tools, I really want to do a few effects I have not done before. So what I want to do is I want to put a ridge all the way around this tombstone on both sides. And one thing I should also note, using these tools, I've got a spot right here which didn't match up, but to be perfectly honest, I don't attribute this problem to the tools. I did this entirely freehand with the knife, and I could have solved that problem just by using a paper pattern so that both sides were equivalent. I just kind of did one up and then threw the other one on top of it and traced it. If I had a paper pattern for both, they would have matched up more evenly. So, let's make a ridge. The only other thing I'm going to do for this ridge is I've got a small piece of cardboard here that's going to be my spacer. And that's just going to tell me how far this ridge is coming in at any given point. I'm just going to make myself a series of dashed lines. I'm just going to connect the lines used from my spacer to give me a guide. I'm sorry for all you folks who are pattern users. I tend to freehand a lot of stuff, and this can be frustrating at times. If you watch it, you'll be like, how is he making those patterns? I'm just freehanding. But you can use carbon copy paper and a printable pattern to go on and make yourself whatever you want. I have a very, very bad habit of just freehanding everything. So it lets me exercise what skill I have, but truth be told, if you use more stenciled stuff, you can get really cool fonts transposed right over from a computer. You can use those cool Gothic fonts on your tombstones, and by using a little bit of carbon copy paper and a printer, you can really, really, really make some great stuff on your tombstone. You can keep the spacing more even. You can do lots of good stuff with it. So, if you have that ability and want to try it, I highly recommend it. I've seen some beautiful tombstones done with that technique. Now the ridge I'm making on the inside here is about an inch in. I'm making it an inch in for the simple reason that I know I'm going to be tearing the hell out of these sides with wire brush and sandpaper and whatever. So I want to make sure I have enough of an internal ridge that no matter what I do to the sides, it's going to be obvious that I did it. It's not just going to look totally, completely destroyed. It looks like there will be a method to the madness, rather than a ruin of rock. But hopefully, as any of you who are veteran hunters know, any mistake on a project can easily be turned into, I meant to do that. Let me cover it up with something artistic-y. See, it wasn't a mistake at all. Now, I'm also not going to worry about the depth of this ridge. My gravestone and my tombstone cemetery are old, battered, beaten stones. I am not making anything that looks crisp and new and shiny. If I wanted to do that, I'd work out of like concrete or something. But I want this to look battered, so I'm not going to take a huge amount of effort making this completely, totally even. If I wanted to do that, there are tools which will suspend hot wire foam factory tools, and they'll go through, or I would use one of the other tools that I talked about to just make a certain depressed cut that's the same way the whole way through. But I'm showing off this stuff, and I'm trying to get a better sense of it too for pure evaluation. So I'm going to use these. And if by any chance I go too deep in a section or I screw it up, all I need to do to fix it is go back over any kind of line edge with a little bit of wood filler. If you can smell the smoke really strongly, either up your ventilation level or get your mask on. And this is surprisingly easy to do. I'm able to follow the tip of the tool just by watching it down the center channel that I carved the first way through. So putting a ridge like this on is not difficult at all.